Now, there has been a revocation for the visa as opposed to what we initially anticipated or expected at the time of lockdown. That was in the end of March 2020. So, if you are a UAE expatriate whose visa is expiring somewhere in between this year, or if you are on a visit visa, then you may want to stay and watch the entire bulletin. Thank you for tuning in with us. My name is Elizabeth Njoga, and this is the QTV. It's not a very good day inside the United Arab Emirates to sit down, relax, and unwind because everything has been revoked, everything has been redistributed in a way that most of the expatriates did not think will happen, especially not as soon. We have all yearned for normalcy, that is from the time that the lockdown started. Pretty much at the end of the month of March, I would say, when everything went on a total shutdown. Now, all decisions that relate to residency of expatriates inside United Arab Emirates and even GCC nationals have been revoked, and that is with effect from the 12th of July. That means ID cards, that means entry permits, ID cards, and everything related to being legally within this country will be chargeable, will be running as normal according to the directive given by the Emirati Cabinet on Friday the 12th. So we are looking at a number of things. I will just walk you through as per my preparation here. We are looking at a number of things on who is going to be affected from the new updates, who is going to be fined and how the fines are going to work and what is the grace period and what have you. Now, in my notes here, I see that the Federal Authority and for Identity and Citizenship, that is the ICA. I think this is going to be a new arm that we have not really seen in action, at least from the time that the COVID-19 was declared a pandemic. That was in the month of February at the end. And now there is a new dealt with the supreme, or rather the sovereign power that is from the Sheikh's office for everything concerning the health, the movement, all restrictions are put together. But now we see a new arm that is the ICA. The ICA basically deals with the citizenship, the ID cards, the visas, and what have you. And they are starting to take dues for every services they provide starting July the 12th. Now, this specific bulletin is going to cover the resolutions, the things that are bound to happen to you if at all your visa is going to expire anytime within the year 2020. Now, broken it down in a way that will be as understandable and consumable to whichever kind of visa that you are having. Of course, I have not included the GCC because they come here visa free, like the Saudi nationals. They can stay for as long as they want. Now, the resolution is that visit visa holders, if your visa was expiring before the 1st of March, it means your grace period is ending by the 17th of August. I believe the QTV has made this cover previously. We give you all the requirements pertaining to your visa if it was expiring before the 1st of March and if it was expiring after the 1st of March. Before the 1st of March, we mean basically this is a leap year 2020, therefore the month of February, let's say, had 29 days. So if your residency or if your visit visa expired on 29th midnight, it means you must exit by or before 17th of August to avoid any fines. Now, there has been some redistribution of how the fining is going to work, and the QTV may do that on a separate bulletin altogether. Right now, we are looking at the resolutions on how you are going to be affected regardless of if your visa has been cancelled, that is, if you have been affected by termination or redundancy following the COVID-19 situations. If your visa was to expire and for one reason or another your company is not intending to renew your contract, so we have all that covered here. Actually, I have two preparations on my book, The Traditional Way, and I have something here on my computer, so I'm just gonna walk us through all of them step by step. So the grace period, if your resident visa is cancelled from 1st of March, you know, there are some companies that tended to lay off their staff way ahead of time before the actual crisis happened. Some companies, maybe because of panic or maybe because they were just waiting for an opportune time to lay the staff off. So some companies have actually laid off the staff before the 1st of March. Now, your grace period, you must check that on your visa. So there is no specific directive if your resident visa was cancelled before 1st of March. Usually there is a grace period of 29 days to exit if your visa has been cancelled. Now this is the requirement pre-COVID-19. And now we're looking at visas. Visas, the status has to be changed by 10th of October. So assuming your visit visa expired on the 2nd of March, because the actual date where the grace period stops is on the 1st of March. Assuming your visit visa is expiring anything after the 2nd of March, then it means you must change status or exit by 10th of October. Otherwise, you are going to be slapped by a big fine. And if your visa, on the other hand, if your visit visa at this point is expired before the 1st of March, you must exit before 17th of August. These are very key dates that you need to look or observe, or at least adhere to avoid any kind of fines. Now, something quite unusual is that the restrictions for travel have not been lifted for some countries, and this poses a very, I would say, a very difficult situation for people who maybe do not have jobs, for people who'd like to repatriate, but there is no specific airline that is taking up the responsibility to repatriate people. Now, the Emirates airline has been doing a magnificent job when it comes to repatriation, irregardless of whether there is travel restrictions or not, and they have also been lenient with people in terms of the visa. Now, this bulletin also will talk about, or rather highlight, without any reason for malice, this bulletin is expecting to highlight on the fact that when the COVID-19 was declared a pandemic, when the numbers were starting to hit and a lot of countries were being affected, I believe at that time China had registered a very high number. The second most impacted was Iran. The third most impacted was Italy. South Korea was there, and it was spreading like a bushfire in Europe. Now, the cabinet came out and told the people that your visas are valid up until 31st of December. And now last Friday, there has been a new directive, and now people are running helter-skelter because many people were not prepared for this. And in all honesty, giving this directive and saying by effect of 12th July, now the authorities will start charging the dues for any documentation processed. I believe this is unfair for the expatriates. It is quite unfair. QTV has no right to bear any stand on this. Currently, all we can say is that the decision is not sensitive to the fact that hundreds of people lost their jobs. Thousands of people lost their jobs. If I could give you a quick statistics today, what is the date today? 13th of July 2020. Now, from this time that there was a lockdown, an amount of 10,000 Pakistanis have been repatriated. 120,000 Indians have been repatriated. Now, the information according to the Consulate of India inside UAE is that more than 450,000 Indians are still registered with the embassy to be repatriated. Now, this is a very big blow for the economy, let's just face it. So also in this bulletin, we are expecting to answer those questions that may be pressing. Our first question here is, who is affected by this new update? Everybody is affected by the new update, including the UAE nationals whose documents are due for renewal in this year 2020. They are all affected, and everyone must proceed to ensure that their documentation is either valid or they are not in the country to avoid any fines that may be coming through. Also, the next question that we hope to clear out in this bulletin is that What does the new 3-month grace period mean? It simply means if your visa is expired after 1st of March, exit before 10th of October. So you realize there is a little variation from the initial grace period that was given as of 17th of August and 10th of October. So basically, if you are on a visit visa expired before 1st of March, you must exit by August the 17th. If it is expiring after 1st of March, please be out of UAE by 10th of October. That is 10/10/20 to avoid any fines that may be coming along with that. All right. The next question we are hoping to clear in this specific bulletin is that what do I need to do in order to know if I'm fined? Now, there is a website for the ICA to know if you will be fined or not. Usually on your visit visa or on your residency, there is a number and with your name. Most of the time, it's a lot easier to tackle it with your passport number to avoid any grievances if there is any typing errors or something like that. And I will be adding that on the description box below, the website that you can log into to verify your visa validity. That is with the Federal Authority for Identity Cards. I will be adding that on the description box. And if you have a visit visa violation, the fine is 25 dirhams per day. That is 25 dirhams per day into the number of times that you are looking to violate. Now, with this new directive, it's not yet clear if there is going to be other penalties that may affect you in the future should you decide to exit the United Arab Emirates now. It is not clear that your actions now will be affecting you in the future. So the QTV will be closely monitoring this, and if there is any update that you need to know, we will surely be letting you know in our incoming bulletins. The next thing that we also want to clear in this specific bulletin is that what about the UAE residents outside of the country? Well, before COVID-19, if you are a resident and you are outside the country for more than 180 days, that is 6 months, automatically your visa or your permit becomes void. Now, you have 1 month to enter. You have 1 month to enter because at 27th of June, all UAE residents that for one reason or another was stuck outside of the United Arab Emirates because of the travel restrictions, they can start to come in as of the 26th or 27th of June. And for visits, visa holders or tourists are allowed to come as of 7th of July. So if you are a resident stuck outside the United Arab Emirates, I think there is no specific excuse as to why you're still outside until now. So get yourself back in here if you want to ensure that your visa is still valid. And what else are we looking to clear in this bulletin? Do I need to take a medical test? Yes, you do need to take a medical test. Actually, every country now requires you to have a medical test, to have a certificate showing that you are coronavirus free. Inside the United Arab Emirates, it requires you to have taken it at least 48 hours. And even if you arrive here, there is still the thermal scanning and all. And even if you have a certificate showing that you are COVID-19 negative and you are displaying COVID-19 symptoms, of course, they will still administer a check here at the DXB airport. So please, it is mandatory to have yourself checked before you come in. Actually, it's even mandatory to have yourself checked before you go outside of the United Arab Emirates. This is effective July the 12th. So all the PROs are back to work because it is now required, and the ICA are taking the dues for administering any kind of services. So effective July the 12th, everything has rolled out. All operations we're expecting to work accordingly to ensure that you are here validly, you are here legally, and you meet every requirement to be within the United Arab Emirates. Thank you so much for tuning into the QTV by Liz Njoga. I have been your presenter. Do have a wonderful afternoon.